and welcome back. It is now time for the last step in our metals process. Today I'm going to show you how to seal your metal and how to assemble it using jump rings and ear wires if you're making earrings. Sealing the metal is pretty simple. I use a product called Renaissance Wax, which is amazing. You can get it on Amazon or any metal supply company. You can also use car wax or a clear coat of acrylic spray paint, and I'll talk more about that when we get to sealing. I'm also going to show you how to use a jump ring correctly, and using it correctly is super important, as well as using an ear wire if you're making earrings. So get ready and get excited to see that final product as it comes together. We're going to seal our metal with this Renaissance wax. It's a microcrystalline polish, wax polish. There's other versions of it. This is what I've found works the best for me. It is a little pricey, but it lasts a long time. To give you an example, that's how much I have gone, and I've been using this professionally for probably 2 years. So if you're going to be making multiple pieces over time, it's worth the investment. If you don't have Renaissance wax, you can use turtle wax in much the same technique I'm going to show you, or you can use spray paint, clear spray paint, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then you need, these are just cotton pads. They're cotton litho pads. You can get things similar to it at a hardware store, but you need something that's not too piecey. You wouldn't want to use a cotton ball, it'll kind of pull off. You could use a rag or something like that as well. And what you're going to do is you're going to get just a little bit of this wax on the cloth. And if you look, you can barely see what I have on there. You don't want to use a ton of this on your metal. If you have a polished piece of metal, you want to be careful not to get your fingers touching the front or the back of the piece, because those fingerprints kind of get locked in. I'm just going to dab the wax onto the surface, making sure I've covered the whole piece. And again, you don't need much of a coat, hence the wax lasting for a while. Set it down on a clean surface. For my patinated pieces, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to dab, and when you dab it, you might notice that some of the patina dabs off. If you rub, it's going to rub off a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's just part of the process. So you're going to dab that on, and then you let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes. You want it to kind of harden up a little bit. So I'm going to keep adding wax to all my pieces. Point, all of my pieces have wax front and back, really thin coat. I'm going to let them sit for 5 to 10 minutes. You want to make sure you're putting them on a clean, dry surface so they don't pick anything up and nothing gets stuck in that wax. It's been about 8 minutes since I put the wax on my pieces. So my next step is to take that same cloth, a new one, but the same type, and polish up the piece. So I'm going to take the cloth, I'm going to check for dryness on my wax. It's still a little bit wet. If I do that, it moves a little bit, but it's starting to get tacky in the thicker part, so it's pretty good right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I just rub. Why do we use a sealant on our metal? There's 2 reasons. If it's polished metal like this one, it helps to hold the polish and keep it nice and bright and shiny. If you don't seal it, the metal's going to start aging immediately. Aged metal isn't a bad thing. Sometimes it's what you want with a piece, and some people really like the way that it looks over time. But the point and purpose of your design is to keep it nice and bright and clean, adding a sealant will help maintain that over time. For the patinaed pieces, it helps to hold the patina right where you put it, so it doesn't further age or deteriorate. It holds up better if things get knocked or bumped around. It also adds a little bit of a sheen to the piece, so it really kind of brings out the colors nicely. When you're polishing or buffing the patinaed pieces, make sure you use a little effort with it. Don't be shy to push a little bit. Again, you might get a little of the patina on the cloth. That's okay. What we want to make sure is that those pieces have a nice seal to them. Now, if you don't have Renaissance wax at home, you can use old-fashioned car wax. You'd use it in much the same way we used our Renaissance wax. Just take your time with it and make sure it's the old-fashioned kind. You can also use acrylic spray paint, a clear coat, on your metal. It's not my favorite way to seal metal as it can cause problems down the road with chipping. However, if you don't have wax available to you, it's better to use that on your patina pieces anyways. It can chip off of areas like this, and then that part will get old and aged and not look quite as nice. You'd be better off on your polished pieces not putting acrylic spray paint on it because it's easy to clean copper and brass with just a little lemon juice and salt. You kind of scrub it up and then rinse it off and it'll take off the patina. So spray paint if you don't have wax for your patina, and if you've got car wax at home, that can work too. As simple and easy as that, probably the easiest of all the techniques that we've learned. And it really does give a lovely sheen to your patinaed pieces. I'd highly recommend that Renaissance wax or another sealant for anything that you patina. And the harder you rub, the shinier it gets. You could even do a second coat on those patina pieces and it would get even shinier through the second coat, layering that up. The next thing we're going to learn how to do is to assemble these to put them together into a finished piece. Our very last step in putting our pieces of jewelry together is utilizing findings to assemble our pieces. Findings are things like jump rings, ear wires, chain, and clasps. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is put together or use a jump ring. So this jump ring is a large one and it's open so that you can see that there's a gap in it. What you need to know about jump rings is that when you put them together, if you pretend my fingers are the jump ring, okay, and this is the open side, people want to pull them apart and that warps the metal. They'll never go back together nice and smooth. When you open a jump ring, you have to twist it open, and you can twist it either way, it doesn't matter. You're going to twist it open, feed the metal on, and then twist it closed. Let me show you what that looks like. You will take a pair of flat pliers, if you have them. You can use round, although it's a little trickier to grip. Flat pliers. I'm right-handed, so I always use my flat pliers in my right hand. If you're a lefty, put your flat pliers in your left hand. It'll give you the best grip. My students always have a pair of flat and a pair of round pliers, so I'm going to use my round pliers on the other side. If you have two pair of flat pliers, it's going to work better for you. I'm going to grip it tight, and then I'm going to twist my right hand towards me and my left away. And if you look, that opens up my jump ring. At this point, I can feed my jump ring on. So I'm going to take this jump ring off of this piece. I usually hold my jump ring with my flat plier, but you could hold it in your hand. I'm going to feed this first piece on, right through the hole. And then I'm going to feed the second piece on. Then I'm going to grab the far side with my round pliers, and I'm going to twist shut. And I'm going to twist back and forth, while slightly pushing towards the center. And what I'm listening for is a little click, click, and it's when the jump ring's just starting to hit itself. So I'm going to be quiet and let you listen and see if you can hear it. There we go. And then I stop when it's totally lined up, nice and even. There's no gap. Everything's lined straight across. It's a nice closed system. There's no opening in it. And by going back and forth a few times and pushing towards itself, I've closed it tight and I've stiffened up the metal so it's less likely to open up on its own. Now I have a nice pendant that I could add to a chain, or if I had another set of them, I could make a pair of earrings by adding an ear wire to this top piece. The next thing I want to show you how to use is an ear wire. If I'm adding an ear wire directly to the piece of metal, like you can see in this piece here, I want to make sure it flows freely. So if you look from above, you can see that the metal on here moves. If it doesn't move, if the hole's too far down, you're going to have to add a jump ring to this and then put the jump ring through the ear wire. But this works. My hole's close enough to the top, and the less jump rings I use, the better. The bottom of the ear wire is just basically a jump ring. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to twist it open. Then I'm going to feed the first piece on. I want the front of the piece on the front of the ear wire. The front of the ear wire is the curved side. The side with the long part going down is the back. So I'm going to feed the front on first. Careful not to scrape your pieces when you're feeding them onto ear wires or jump rings. And then I'll feed this back piece on. Then I just twist it shut. And again, just like with the jump ring, you want to twist this nice and tight shut. You don't want any gap at the top. So I'm going to twist back and forth until it's got a nice grip. I'm going to check and make sure there's good movement, and there is. And that earring is ready to wear. Now, there's one thing I want you to know about ear wires and how these go together. This earring is facing forward on my ear wire right now, and I put that ear wire directly into the hole. If this was a set of earrings that I've connected with a jump ring, if I feed that earring onto the ear wire, the loop of the ear wire, it's going to hang sideways. Okay, so this is the front of the earring. Do you see how my metal's hanging sideways? It's because that jump ring twists it to the side. So you can do this. Some people, sometimes an earring is made to hang to the side like that, but if that is not your intention, there's a really easy fix. What you're gonna do is take this loop of the ear wire, you're gonna grab it with your flat pliers all the way across, and you're just gonna do a quarter turn, left or right. So that loop now faces forward instead of sideways. Now, if I put this guy on here, like so, it's going to face forward. Okay, so you just need to alternate your loops. That, my lovelies, is the very last step in making your jewelry all on your own. Some steps in this process are a little trickier and take a little more time to learn. Some are pretty easy, but all in all, I can tell you that the outcome is so worth the effort. I hope you enjoy the process of metalsmithing. I hope you keep learning more with me as we go into more complex and detailed techniques. It's really such an amazing medium. Thank you for the time that you've taken to do this with me, and I hope you love your new pieces.